So we are finally ready now. The much anticipated matchup between the Oakland Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Super Bowl 37.
They couldn't catch another shit. Cannons like you know this, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard. So Buc what you heard.
All right. Welcome to another edition of Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Buc What You Heard. And tonight we're doing something a little bit different. Normally you would see Michael Pless on, which we're going to have him back on next week and try to get him involved with all this. But, I was kind of thinking, this is a fan show. We need to get the fans a little bit more involved. And so I reached out to some people on Twitter, and a couple of people said they were interested. And so this is like the first time we're doing this. And we have one of our longtime listeners, Tommy Travis. How you doing tonight, Tommy? See if I didn't lose. Hopefully, give me a second here. Let's see. Okay, much better. Hold on one second here. Oh, there we go. Okay, you there?
Hey.
Okay.
Living.
All right. And Tommy, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I know that you were on before when I was having technical difficulties. This was the guy that was helping me work through everything. So, again, I want to just give you a shout out, and I appreciate all you did. Tell everybody about yourself and, how long you've been a Buc fan.
Yeah, no worries. I'm Tommy. I'm Tommy Travis. I'm a disabled vet, U.S. Army, 8 years. I've been a Buc fan since '95, so I've been through a lot. Not through it all, but I've been through a lot. My favorite player is Rondé Barber. So other than that, let's do this.
Well, the big news, and it isn't news anymore because everybody and their grandmother's talking about it, is the firing of Dirk Cutter and the hiring of Bruce Arians. How do you feel about it? I just want to kind of get your thoughts. You've been following the Bucs for a long time, and you've kind of seen the ups and downs. What are your thoughts on this move? Do you think this is the right move for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make?
Now, I haven't been through a lot of coaching changes, obviously, like I said, but I've been through a couple, and really, it feels like it's Dungy. It feels like the way the room was from the press conferences and way people were talking about it, the vibe on Twitter, the vibe everybody was talking about it. It was like Dungy was in the room again. The way everybody was talking about it, and that excites me. That excites everybody. To be honest, that doesn't mean W's are coming, but that excites me.
And what's interesting to me is if you've been a Bucs fan since John Gruden, you've seen a lot of coaching changes. You've seen general manager changes. You've seen turnover in personnel. You've seen turnover in coaching staff. Just nothing constant, nothing steady, nothing ongoing. You've continuously seen change after change after change. You said that this felt special. Do you feel like it's possible that this could be the move that gets the Bucs into a different place?
I do, because I feel like if it's not Arians, that he's gonna set it up. Am I echoing?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, I thought I heard myself. Sorry. If it's not Arians, that he's gonna set it up for the next guy, because he's brought in all these coaches and he brought in all these guys that he trusts, and that if it's not him, it's going to be the next guy. And I have a feeling like it's going to be either Leftwich, that he might be the up and coming next young gun, or it could be even Harold Goodwin because of how much, how he talked about it in his press conference. Because he may step up. He may be the next guy that steps up and still keeps Leftwich and maybe still all the pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah. And, just having gotten to see a lot of Bruce Arians and how he changed the culture. I look at the Colts as a great example. Just what he did in Indianapolis with the Colts. And then he turned around and did the same thing in Arizona with the Cardinals. This could be, this could be big. Real Talk Perez, this could be what I'm not sure I quite follow what you mean. This could be Bowles. I'm not sure. And again, just kind of getting back to what you were talking about. This is one of those things where I'm just kind of curious to see what happens. I'm not sure what personnel they keep, who they bring in. There's a lot of talent. I believe there's a lot of talent on this team. I believe that we'll just kind of wait and see. Yeah, Real Talk. Oh, Todd Bowles. Okay, I'm sorry. Real Talk Perez is on. If you get a chance, check out his podcast. He's got a really good show. He does these impromptus, and he calls it like he sees it. And so if you get a chance to check him out, please do.
I'll have to check him out. Yeah.
But what I just kind of getting back to what we were talking about. I look at this organization and what they've done with coaches, and I've talked about this like maybe 5 or 6 times in different podcasts where you see them go from one coach to another coach to another coach. And there's all this inconsistency. You lose talent. You see players that go to other teams and they end up having successful careers. I mean, you look at LeGarrette Blount, Aqib Talib has bounced around to different teams, won a few championships, different things that have happened, throughout this Buccaneers transition that we've seen since John Gruden. And, it's good to see that they kept Jason Light. I caught a lot of heat. I still catch heat because I'm not real big on, trashing the GM. The GM, he's gone out and he's made some risky moves. But again, he has enough talent to say to Bruce Arians, hey, if you come out of retirement, you could coach this team. And, that's something that you got to consider. It's not like this team is full of scrubs. You've got a very talented team on offense, and you've got a nice bunch of pieces on defense. Although some were injured, you have those guys coming back, and that's what I'm excited about. You've got guys like Kendall Beckwith coming back from injury. If they can get Quan Alexander signed, I would hope and pray they bring him back. I really like what he does to this team.
I hope so.
Yeah, and just different players. Vernon Hargraves. Here's another guy that I'm super excited about. I know a lot of people weren't happy with his draft pick, but I want to see him with a different. I want to see him with a different defensive coordinator and see what he can do with him, and see if you can, get him to play to his strengths, and let's see what he does. Adrian, go away, Bucs. I wanted Dirk Cutter gone ever since they played the Chicago Bears game. You know what? That's kind of where it was, man. And just kind of even going back to last year with the Atlanta Falcons when Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith. There's no way Julio Jones should have gotten away with everything he got away with, and it still irks me to this day. But just kind of getting back to that, I think that there are a lot of nice players on this team, and I think you can, with the right coaching, I think you could put together a really nice squad, and I'm just excited about it. Another guy that people have pretty much written off, but I want to see him under a different coaching staff is Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones didn't get any reps.
Yes.
And they didn't do him any favors by putting him in the times that they put him in. And it annoys me every time I look back at that. The plays that they had him in, there's no way that he could have been set up for success. So It's just
He
one of
was
those
the Noah
things.
Spence of the offense.
Huh?
He was the Noah Spence of the offense. He was
Yeah.
barely in.
Yeah, absolutely. And they weren't committed to the run. We all know that. I mean, if they were committed to the run, I could see Peyton Barber ending up with being 1,000-yard rusher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Oh, he could have been it this year, to be honest.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This year,
Oh, sorry.
he should have been 1,000-yard rusher. There's no
Oh, yeah,
reason.
he should have
There's
easily.
no reason
Yeah,
he wasn't.
sorry.
But they, because the Bucs weren't committed to the run. We all know it. I mean, you can go back and watch the game film and see it and know that's what happened.
Yeah, easily. And going back to Jason Light isn't the one making the coaching. I mean, maybe he's telling Dirk to make the coaching adjustments, but he's not the one coaching. So, Dirk needed to make those coaching adjustments at halftime or, earlier, and didn't. And obviously resulted in a lot of losses.
Yeah, exactly. And again, they weren't committed to the run. There were times, but I guess the first two games they didn't really need to run the ball. But
I was more towards Jason Light, not being Jason Light's fault.
Yeah. Again, Jason Light has put pieces on the field. We all know that. I mean, from OJ Howard, Mike Evans, you look at Chris Godwin. Just a lot of the pieces that he's put in place, even bringing Peyton Barber in, and they just didn't use him correctly. So a lot of things that have happened, and I'm sure that our Bruce Arians will be able to adjust to that. And one thing that kind of stuck in my head, I don't know if you remember the preseason game that Bruce Arians was calling the Buccaneers game.
Lions. Against the Lions.
Yes. And the thing that struck me about Bruce Arians is he automatically picked up on defensive play calling and he questioned it. And it was at that point, I was like, man, this is one of those guys. I wish he was the head coach, because you're sitting here and you're listening to him, and he is so wise. I mean, just listening to him calling the plays, it was just like, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. And you got so many fans that have been saying the same thing that Bruce Arians was saying. And, he's one of those guys. I really hope this works out. Slippin' Rich says Dirk never made adjustments. I 100% agree with that. That's
what we were saying.
Yeah. And then Doug Martin. I think Doug Martin was the second leading rusher in the NFL, Jameis Winston's rookie season. So he had a huge season that year. And the Bucs were truly committed to the run at that time. Give me one moment. Tommy, I know you said that there were some things that you wanted to speak on. I'm going to let you go ahead because I know you had some things thought out. I'm going to try to get our other listener on and get him involved as well.
Yeah, I was just going to speak on I noticed that this year we kind of ran a similar defense. I know we're going to be running different coaching staffs. We're going to have a different coaching staff, so they're obviously going to run a different playbook. But because we ran a similar playbook to what we're going to run this year, where we're going to have a roving safety, kind of like what Deion Buchanan did for the Cardinals when Arians was there. Andrew Adams did that this past season. Well, when Deion Buchanan was doing that for Arians 2 seasons. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. Sorry.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey. All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Tommy. I'm sorry. And I'll introduce you in just a minute. Well, go ahead, Tommy.
His first 2 seasons, he had his first season, he had 2 sacks, 83 tackles his rookie year. And the second year, he had 112 tackles, and that's as a safety and inside linebacker hybrid with 3 sacks and an interception. And he's only got 2 interceptions and 7 sacks on his career, and he had 3 in 1 year and 112 tackles. Now, he doesn't bring the stats, but I think he had his best years under Bowles and Arians together in 14 and 15. So, and he's dropped off since then. I know he has.
Yeah.
But I think he could I mean, I know he's 27. He's still young. He's still in his prime years as a safety linebacker. He's like a Mark Barron, basically.
Yeah,
because he's
and that will be. Yeah, I'm really excited. And what do you think? What do you think? How do you think that's going to work out?
If we get him, I think he'll. I hope he lights it up because I think he could have a Pro Bowl season.
All right, there we go. Well, folks, I have another listener that I was able to get on, and you know, he was running a little bit late, but we got him on. Ryan Nix, give me 1 second. I'm going to actually get him linked on here as well, and we'll kind of get his thoughts and get him involved in this conversation. Hold on 1 second, but all right, Ryan, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right. And Ryan, tell everybody how long you've been a Buc fan.
Since the Rams beat us in the championship game in the 90s when the Ricky Prohl, supposedly touchdown in the corner of the end zone.
Yeah, there you go. That was a good game. That man, the greatest show on turf, and the Bucs defense really showed how serious they were. So
I tell you what, I still believe to this day, if we just go ahead and stick with Trent in that game, I think we win that game.
Yeah, that was wild though. It's one of those things that I look back on it, and what do you remember the Bert Emanuel no catch that turned out
100%? I do.
Yeah, and that eats at me to this day. So
for sure.
Well, we're currently talking about the coaching, the new coach, and I'll let you go ahead and chime in and give me your thoughts on Bruce Arians coming in as the new coach for the Bucs.
Well, first off, I love it. I mean, as a Buc fan, who doesn't love a guy like this who's completely going to turn around the culture? I think that's the first thing that this Bucs organization needed was the culture turnaround. And what's funny is I heard you guys talking about that Lions preseason game. It's really funny during that game. I remember Bruce Arians talking, good about Jameis and everything. And just like you, I said, man, if we don't have a good year, I feel like we should try to go after this guy.
Yeah, and it's funny. He was one of the guys that I really wanted the Bucs to get, even before this. When you saw what he did with the Indianapolis Colts, that right there should tell you what you needed to know. These guys were out there and they were fighting for this coach, and it was really sad to see him go, but he ended up going over to the Cardinals. And I think, everything happens for a reason, I guess, with him linking up with Jason Light and the relationship they have. This has been, it's good to see them all together. And it's really interesting how they're putting together this coaching staff. The coaching staff is huge, but I think that with his eye to detail, that's something that the Bucs have been missing. Bucs fans have been missing is that head coach that is being a head coach. He has a defensive coordinator for a reason. He has an offensive coordinator for a reason, and he's able to take care of all the details that have been sorely missed over the past few seasons, along with accountability, which we haven't seen that either for some time.
I agree.
Yeah, you guys just jump in. Just jump in if you have a thought on this.
Wait, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no. Seriously though, I agree. My one of my favorite things that we did was getting. Of course, everybody knows getting Todd Bowles. I just think that what he's going to do with that defense and this whole he's going to go 3-4. No one really knows what he's going to do. He's going to adjust to, like you said, to what his players are capable of doing, which is smart. That's the kind of coach you want. You don't need a guy like like Mike Smith. Hey, you're going to run my scheme. No. We don't know how. We don't do that. This is what we do. Let's do what we do, and that's what I love about this coaching staff that we got.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, in Bruce Arians' football life, you learn how when he was growing up in his coaching, he didn't like to delegate. He liked to do everything himself, especially when he was at, where did he coach?
Temple.
Temple. And when he was the coach, when he became the interim coach of the Colts, he had to learn how to delegate. And I believe that's going to be a big thing. I think you kind of spoke on it, but I believe it's going to be a big thing, and I love that he's able to do that, because I hate it when a coach wants to be in everybody's business and doesn't want to. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah, absolutely. The old saying, the devil's in the details. It's important to be able to overlook the whole team. And this is what's exciting to me. Again, I can't stress this enough, is the fact that he's being a head coach. And you're letting your defensive coordinator call his plays, letting the offensive coordinator call the plays, but you're overseeing the whole team. You're looking over defenses and looking at details, and you catch flaws and stuff like that. When you look at what we had with Dirk Cutter has been outcoached since his rookie year as a head coach. I mean, he's continuously getting outcoached. There were games that he should have won, but he didn't win. I think the last straw for me was the not calling the timeouts and allegedly not knowing you could call timeouts. I think that pretty much did it for me, and I didn't care what he did the rest of the season. I was pretty much over it, because how I look at this team, it's all about the body of work. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like Jason Light. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, a lot of people have given me grief because I haven't badmouthed Jason Light. Well, I haven't seen his full body of work. I don't know what everything is going to look like once everything is done. He's brought in some good players. He's brought in a lot of good players, actually. And I just don't think they've been coached up like they should be. And the very idea that you've got Noah Spence on special teams is still a head scratcher for me.
I 100% really actually agree with that. Very much so. I'll tell you, be honest, my personal opinion, I think Jason Light is an excellent GM. I know that might be too strong for some people, but I'm sorry, I really believe he is, because if you get the talent that he's acquired, I mean, think about it. He's made a ton of good trades throughout the draft to collect multiple talented guys, not just one or two. And then on top of that, you go and get a guy like Bruce Arians. Yes, we all understand the Cutter hiring was a little, but you got to understand at that time, everyone was coming off the high of him having a pretty good year with Jameis the rookie year. And because of that, everyone thought, oh, maybe he should be the head coach. Well, we found out very quickly that he shouldn't have been. I even, in fact, thought he should have been let go last year, really, to be honest. So, I mean, and Jameis Winston, that's another thing. I think, and I'm sure a lot of people do too, he's one of the most talented quarterbacks we have in our league. For him not to be, exercised as such is crazy to me. I think Bruce Arians is going to show this guy's true capabilities. He's going to bring out, I mean, look what he did with a 36-year-old Carson Palmer. What do you think he's going to do with a 25-year-old Jameis Winston, who's, in my opinion, more talented than Carson Palmer?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, Gene, what do you think about Cam Newton possibly sitting out 2019?
He was injured, and I'm not making excuses for him. I don't really, the Panthers are division rival, whatever, but there was one play in the Bucs when the Bucs beat the Panthers, and Jameis reached out to get a first down with the ball, and the way he landed. It was after that he had no velocity on the ball. He couldn't get the ball 50 yards, and he was injured. And he may have been injured prior to that, but that's where I identified that's where he got hurt. And I think that was like late in the third quarter where that injury occurred, and he just wasn't the same player. My question is, does Ron Rivera have a season to sit down your franchise quarterback? Will he be here? Would he be here after that? That's the question. I still don't think he's recovered from the last surgeries he had. And I just don't know how this is going to work out. But, for the longevity of his career, that's I don't know. He's one of those guys. He's a competitor.
How old is Cam Newton now?
He's still in his 20s.
Yeah.
Is he in his late 20s, though? Is he later,
like
later?
27.
Yeah, 27, 28. I was thinking
27, 28.
But he's been sacked the most.
Right, and that's I think what I was kind of getting at. I feel like really where he's at is kind of, how like Ben Roethlisberger, You know, he got hit so much earlier in his career that he kind of got older faster because of it. And I think, right, and I think the same thing, especially because Cam Newton, he's our best running quarterback in the league as far as all around speed, power, all that. So the fact that he's done it so much and he's not a pocket passing quarterback, I think sitting out a year possibly might hurt his career. Now, will it hurt him maybe having another extra year or two healthy to maybe go get another Super Bowl? Yeah, I think that's possible. But with our division that we have with the young talent around our division, it's going to be tough. I mean, if Teddy Bridgewater stays in New Orleans and Sean Payton can make him a good quarterback, you know, we're talking about Cam Newton possibly being the third, you know, best quarterback in our division at that point.
Yeah, that's a possibility. But again, Cam, I don't know what they're going to do. That's going to be this offseason to me, and I don't know what you guys feel about this. To me, this offseason is going to be the most interesting offseason we've seen in a long time. Just what are the Saints going to do? What are the Atlanta Falcons going to do? I mean, they've got Dirk Cutter back, which I'm still going to say he was a spy. He was a spy that was sent here to infiltrate the Bucs, and then he goes back. But I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to sound like a nut job. But I think there's some truth to that. But no, all joking aside, this is going to be a very interesting division. Our division has always been one of the more competitives in the league, and always had somebody representing in the postseason. So I think it's past due time the Bucs get in there, and I'm hoping that this is.
We've usually had somebody representing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'm going to go into the chat. Buc the World was saying, I hope he's out, and I hope the Saints win the Super Bowl so Drew Brees can retire. They were definitely contenders for sure with this staff. You know, to be honest, I think the Bucs have done pretty good. You know, when they've had chances, like they split with the Saints, who are in the playoffs. They beat the Eagles, who were in the playoffs, and that kind of gives me hope. And that just goes back to what I was saying. I think there's a lot of talent on this team. I just think that you just need the right coaching staff to get the most out of them. So that's kind of where I am with this. So
what do you think? What do you think we're going to do with Smith on the line? What do you think we should do with him? Should we let him go, or should we try to move him inside where he might be actually pretty good?
You know what? That's a good point there. He's one of those guys. If he's looking for a max contract, it would be kind of hard to, unless they were going to put him put him back in his natural position. All the experiments on the offensive line were kind of confusing to me. Not having Ali Marpet where his strength was and moving him all around. And I think that stunted his growth and he's a natural talent, but just keeping him at his Pro Bowl position and building around that is definitely something that I would have looked at to begin with. But I'm just a guy that does a podcast. Not a coach. So.
No, definitely just ask an opinion. That's why I think it's even possible they could maybe even bring Smith back for one of those prove it to me year deals and move him inside, see if he's great inside, and then maybe pay him on a max contract at that position, not the left tackle position, but at the other side on the inside position where they don't get paid as much.
Right.
Yeah. Scott Smith was talking about this on Insiders, and the reason they wouldn't do that is because he would get paid less money for that.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see what happens. Again, I think there's a lot of talent here. I don't think the turnover will be as huge. I think the connection that Dirk Cutter and Bruce Arians have with each other, that's what was the most exciting to me about this, is because they have that connection. And these are players that I feel like Bruce Arians could actually work with. In this defense, there's not going to be much you really need to do other than that offensive line. And who knows, you may see a draft pick. We've got that, the Bucs have that number 5 pick. There's no telling what Jason Light can do. We ended up with Jason Pierre-Paul because of because of his ability to make moves in the with the draft picks. And I mean, I think we got Jason Pierre-Paul for a 3rd round pick. So again, we don't know what Jason Light is going to do. I'm just excited about it. And, that's something to really look forward to. Buc the World, hip, hip, hooray, no more soft defense. These guys are going to be hunting. I mean, if you listen to, Did you guys get to listen to the press conference?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I did.
Did you hear where he talked about they're attacking? They're hunting.
They're not sitting and waiting
45 yards off the ball and waiting to see what happens. They're actually hunting. So that's something I'm excited about. And these players, the players that have been drafted, are press man players. The majority of them are. I don't think they've drafted many zone players. To be honest, I'm trying to think on the secondary. I don't think they've drafted too many.
No, they don't, which is weird why they would play that.
Especially a very schematic scheme zone, like a very, very, very detailed zone.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just don't think that, again, Mike Smith is kind of proven through Duffner that Mike Smith really didn't get the most out of these players with the schemes that he ran. And he was pretty rigid, running the same defense, not making adjustments at halftime. And that's why we saw some of the blowouts we saw.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Actually, I heard you bring up the name earlier. Noah Spence, do you think maybe he can possibly rejuvenate, being that this will be in more of attacking defense and maybe his style of defense?
I hope and pray they do, because this guy is a talent. This guy is a physical talent, and I just don't think that he's been coached up enough. We've seen,
I agree with
and
that.
you guys we can all agree, we've seen plays that he's made, and he's looked amazing, but then he's gotten injured, and I think this off season, or this 2018 season, he's rested. I think he's ready to go.
And he'll be cheaper too. That's another thing. He's cheaper than what maybe trying to go get somebody at that position in the draft, or not the draft, but free agency.
Yeah, I think he's a diamond in the rough. We'll just have to wait and see. But again, it's just been very puzzling to not see him on the field and to see him on special teams, which
he don't
make a
belong
lot
there.
of sense to me. One of the questions in the chat that Ricky was asking, who do you guys like in the draft?
Jonah Williams, honestly.
Jonah Williams. And Tommy.
I like Jonah. If he's not there, to be honest, Greedy.
Yeah. I've been looking at Greedy Williams, and Josh Allen is another player that could potentially. I mean, the top 10 is going to be nice. I'm here to tell you, I know it's going to be tough to really mess up if you've got a top 10 pick to mess that up. And real talk, Perez, what they need to do with Noah Spence is what Dan Quinn did with Vic Beasley, and when he led the league in sacks, and they need to learn how to hide him and let him loose. That makes sense. Again, you just got to be creative on how you use him. I mean, I think he's a weapon, but unfortunately they didn't see enough to have him out on the field. But I hope he gets another chance. So let's see. I'm just kind of looking through the chat. So you were saying Jonah Williams. What is it you like about Jonah Williams that he puts him out there as one of those players?
I really like that play where he got knocked off set and was able to recover. That was flooding through Twitter. Did you get to see it? He got knocked off set by Farrell. He got knocked off set by a bull rush, and then he was able to recover by just resetting his feet. And it was such a really good move, and it was flooding through Twitter. And
I don't know how much you guys have gotten to watch him, but he has really good footwork. It's advanced, and that's some of those things that when some of these offensive linemen come to the NFL, that's what you hear people talk about their footwork and how they need to work on their footwork to get better. And that's one of the big things. But just looking at him, he looks like one of those guys that you could just plug and play, and he's ready to go. And I'm trying to think of the offensive lineman from last year that went to the Colts, and I'm drawing a blank, and I don't know why.
Quentin Nelson.
Quentin Nelson. There you go. Guy is a monster. And he was another one of those guys last year. I would have been happy to have gotten a Quentin Nelson here in Tampa. I think that would have been huge.
Oh, definitely would have been huge.
Yeah. But again, if you get another dominant offensive lineman, I think the Bucs, it helps their run game. It really does. And I know that people have been talking about certain free agents coming here. Either of the free agents that we're talking about out of Pittsburgh, I don't even want them here. I just wouldn't want them here. The wide receiver or the running back. That's just too much.
No, I don't.
That's
no, I'd rather develop Ronald Jones or maybe take a chance on Kareem Hunt over any of those guys.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, that's that's one of those things that we'll have to. Josh Allen will be perfect for the new hybrid defense. Yeah. I love his game too. He's one of those guys and that can, go and get after the quarterback. So a lot of people talking about Jonah Williams, Josh Allen.
The one thing about Josh Allen, he only had a one splash year as a pass rusher. That's the only thing that really it concerns me.
Yeah. So what do you guys think about trading down? Is that a possibility? Could you?
I was going to just bring that up. Actually, I was going to say, what do you guys think? I mean, you got what, the Giants and Jacksonville behind us, right? I mean, Jacksonville has possibly a couple pieces we might want that we say, hey, here's our draft pick. Give us this and that. I mean,
Jalen
Ramsey. I mean, they probably have a lineman or two too. That's pretty good. I mean, they've had a pretty good running game the last couple of years when Fournette's healthy.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think about the Miami Dolphins possibly, coming up? And I know they're searching for a quarterback.
That's definitely true. What do you think we could get from them, though? What do you think's a big asking price for us to give them our draft pick?
You know what? I really I couldn't tell you, but with the number 5 pick, you could actually potentially trade back even and stay within the top 10 and end up with something. So there's a lot of things that can happen. And one thing that I've said, and a lot of people may not agree with me on, it all comes down to your general manager being good, because your general manager should be able to get a quality player in the first round, regardless of whether he picks number 1 or number 32. And
I agree.
We've seen that with the Patriots. I hate to bring up the Patriots. I know so many people hate them, but the moves that they've made, they've benefited from the majority of the moves they've made. And I like, what they take risks and they go out and get players that benefit their scheme. And what the Bucs within the next couple of years really need to be looking at is depth. We've seen where depth has really hurt the Buccaneers, especially like in the linebacker core. When we started the season, the linebacker core was the strength of this team. This was before we saw the breakout of the offense. But when you looked at the Buccaneers last year, this time, you were thinking, oh, okay, the strength is going to be the linebacker core. And, from there, it just kind of, steamrolled into what it is. So,
I think that's one reason why I think Dion Buchanan would help. He could add depth to safety or linebacker. I know he would be very small as a linebacker because he's only 6'1", 211, but he could still add some depth.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I think keeping Kevin Minter is pretty smart as well, to be honest, just as a backup role. He's played in Bruce Arians and in Arizona's defense before and played pretty well.
Yeah, and again, it's just do you think they do that though?
The price, I mean, that's what it's going to be about, how much money we're going to have to spend as far as who we want to keep and who we don't want to keep. It's definitely going to be tough. I heard this year's what do they call that, a crunch year for us as far as money-wise.
Yeah, because they invested so much money in the defensive line last year. And and guys, I want to ask you a name that I keep hearing, and I've heard because I've got friends in most of the NFL teams. But there was an article in San Diego talking about Gerald McCoy possibly ending up as a Charger. Do you see
Well,
Gerald
I
McCoy?
mean, if
Do you
we're
see Gerald
smart, we
McCoy
better be
leaving?
trading that.
Could you see Gerald McCoy leaving the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I don't want him to, but
I see it, but I don't want to.
And there you go.
I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business.
Yeah, absolutely. But if he gives you a chance to win, is this a guy you keep around?
Oh, I would love to keep him. I think he could do, because like Bruce Arians said in his press conference when asked about it, when asked about defensive scheme, 70% of the time they're in nickel, which is a 4-man front, which that's what he thrives in.
Yeah. And I would like to see him in an opportunity where he can go hunt. No more stunts, no, none of this other stuff, just seeing him go and hunt. That's what Gerald McCoy is best at. And that's what I like to see him doing, just going and finding the quarterback. Vita Vea, the way Vita Vea has come on in the back end of the season is another reason that I think that Gerald McCoy, I go back and forth with that. If they got rid of him and tried to get somebody younger and cheaper, I don't know. But again, I wouldn't have a problem with Gerald McCoy staying in Tampa. I think that he would work well. If he's 100% healthy, I think he works well with the Vita Vea.
Do you think Carl Nassib is going to have another good year, or do you think he was a one?
No, I have high expectations for Carl Nassib. He's got a high motor, and I think the Cleveland Browns they let the wrong person go. And I'm just glad for the Buccaneers' sake. I'm glad it worked out for us. This guy has come to play. He's hungry, and it's just he's not taking plays off. He's trying to make a splash every time he's out on the field. So he's a pleasant surprise. He beat out one of the free agents that the Bucs had brought in, and he made the most of his opportunity, and that's what's exciting to me.
Yeah, he beat out one they're paying $8 million to ride the bench.
Yeah, there you go. Real Talk Perez say, no way you pass up the opportunity to have a D-line with a second-year Vita Vea, McCoy, JPP, Nassib. And you know what? You've got, keep in mind, Real Talk, you've got Quan Alexander, if they can re-sign him. You've got him coming back. You've got Kendall Beckwith, and you've got a healthy Devontae David. You've really got a lot of pieces in place to make that defense really do some things. And that's kind of where you're at. Your defensive line is crazy when JPP, who just got double-digit sacks, could be your worst defensive lineman. That's crazy. But, we needed that curse broken. And I do believe in curses. And ever since Simeon Rice, we haven't been able to get that guy in here. So it'll be really good to see that.
I hope he has another good year. I think he will, because he, like you said with Carl Nassib, he doesn't really take plays off. He has a high motor, and he's trying to get to the quarterback every single play. It's ridiculous how high of a motor he has for how long he's been in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
This will be his 10th season.
And what's really great about this is he's just been great, and he's just been out of it. He's been playing out of his mind since he's been here, and he hasn't really let anybody down. Hey, Ryan, you there? Hey, Ryan. Okay. Yeah, I thought we lost you.
Yeah, I got lost there for a second.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about the defense again, and the defense, the first half of the season, they were a liability, but once we got Duffner in there, once the Bucs got Duffner in there, it kind of everybody started playing to their strengths, and you'll notice that you didn't have all the communication issues that you saw in the first part of the season, and people didn't look lost, and to me that's very important, and that's why I'm really excited about this. Getting the Todd Bowles here, who can really get the most out of his defense. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, just real quick, just to touch on Gerald McCoy real quick. I mean, I think he's the type of guy that would take a pay cut. I don't see him as selfish or anything like that. I think he would take a pay cut if it came down to that for him to stay. Because I think in this defense, this attacking defense is what he's always been known to be. I mean, even when we drafted him, was an attacker. So, I mean, I think he would do well. However, I mean, if they decide they don't want to keep him, I mean, thank God we got Vita Vea, I guess.
Yeah. Again, let's hope it doesn't come to that. I don't know.
I don't want to. Yeah.
So we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Leroy Moore was mentioning Quan didn't get to really play under Duffner. The one game that we saw him in where he got injured, Quan Alexander looked like a different player compared to the prior games.
Yeah.
There were, and I won't say discipline issues, but when you are in your assignment and a play comes your way, then you're able to take care of business. There were a couple of times where Quan Alexander was not in his assignment. This was with Mike Smith, and he was doubling, trying to help out, and it just didn't work out like it should. So I don't know. I'm thinking that, if you could get him back, I think he's going to be fine. Yeah, and he is a nose tackle. Yeah, that's exactly right. Adam Horn. Adam, I'm sorry. I'll get you on next week, man. I promise. And I'll try to come up with 2 more listeners next week to come on and come on as well and talk about, the Bucs. So, just hit me up on Twitter if you're following me, DM me and let me know that you're interested in coming on next week, and I will get you on. Again, this is a fan show. My guests tonight are listeners of the show. And that's what this show is really all about, man. It's just, getting to hear you guys' voices. I'll take a moment to kind of explain this. When I really first started, noticing it, you have people that you follow on Twitter and they don't respond to you, or they ignore you, or, something happens when, you as a fan, you spend money, whether it's on jerseys or whatever, because this is your team, you support your team. You go to games, season tickets, or whatever, and you don't get to hear your voice, get your voice heard. Now there are all these podcasts out there, which there are some really good ones, by the way, and this is no slight to anybody, but I've always felt like it's important. That's why I try to read the chat and get you guys involved. And I felt like, this year, let's do something. We're going to go a step higher and do something a little bit different. And hold on a second. We're going to try to do something a little bit different and make it a little bit better. So, who's Michael's? Can you guys mute yourself here for a second? Cool. All right, hold on a second. All right, and just kind of getting back to what I was saying, I think it's important to get you guys involved. I'm going to try to get at least 1 or 2 fans, if not 3, on at least once a week to, let your voices be heard and say what you have to say. I think it's important. And, we've got a new coach. I want to hear from you guys, and I think that's important. So I think this is great. I'm a fan from Vermont, and I listen to every game on the radio. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I think that, that's you're supporting your team. Okay, hold on one second. Let me see if I can fix this here. We've got background noise.
It's not me.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. And I will. Okay. So, again, that's something that we're working towards is making sure that we keep this as fan friendly as possible. And you guys were talking about the free agency, and Ryan, sorry about that, Ryan. There was just background noise, but what we were talking about is actually who do you want to see in free agency? For me, I don't know what the Bucs are going to do as far as re-signing. I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach right now because I really want to know who they're going to keep and who they're going to let go. Until we can see that, we really don't know what they're going to do. Real Talk Perez says, I want Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. I know that the Houston Texans really like him as well too. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how that all plays out.
Yeah, that'll be a hard battle to battle that out.
Yeah. So again, it's one of those things. We'll see what happens there and how all that all plays out.
He is at the top of a lot of Buc fans' lists because.
Well, let me ask you this: what do you think about the safeties? I know, Chris Conte's probably gone. I would be surprised if the Bucs kept him around.
He doesn't.
You have to kind of upgrade in that position. So, I mean, are there other players out there? Don't y'all feel good how people respect our coach? Absolutely. I think it's great. I mean, it's just been talked about on media outlets all over. I mean, at work, I hear about it all the time, and people are like, how come he didn't stay with the Cardinals? And, it just didn't work out. And I'm just happy to have him here. So, and I just look at what he's done so far. I'm actually looking forward to camp, where you're going to have all those coaches in camp doing what they do. And to me, that's another thing that's really exciting to see that.
Yes. Going back to your question, with Conte, to be honest, I wish we could keep him, but I don't think he'll fit the scheme. I liked him.
And again, I think people are looking at him as he is something more than what he is. He's an average safety, but he puts people in their positions. And if you watch the game film, you could see where there have been times where there would be a big play had he not made the play that he did. So,
well, see, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead and finish what you were going to say.
I was going to say there would be the beginnings of a big play, and he would make the tackle, and people would see him in the middle of it and think that he gave up the big play. No, right. He stopped the big play.
Yeah. And again, I'm not one of those people that hates the guy. I mean, he was a gamer. I personally, if I've got an injury that's bothering me that bad, I wouldn't have been out on the field in that Pittsburgh game. But he tried to give it a go, and it just didn't work out for him. I like him. I do like him. Like I said, he's an average, just like Caleb Benenoch. Caleb Benenoch is a 5th round offensive lineman, and that's all he is. And I know it's frustrating to see somebody like that out there. Just like, remember E.J. Biggers. E.J. Biggers was a cornerback that was fast. He couldn't cover. He was fast. And it's all he was, So there's another example of just what I was talking about. So,
yes.
Again, it's just who these guys are. You have to look at these guys for who they are, and that's who they are. So, Chantel saying that Conte is ass, fellas, stop it. You know what? I don't know. I didn't like I said, I didn't hate on him. He's an average safety. I've seen worse. How about, I don't know if you remember Sabby Piscatelli. Sabby the Toast was god awful. And I would have taken Conte over him any day. Go ahead.
I used to play Madden all the time in Iraq, and I used to get picks all day with Sabby Piscatelli.
I wish they could have converted that over to the real deal, but again, it's just who he is. I look at him for who he is, and that's who he is. So I'm good with that. But again, there are going to be upgrades made, and there are going to be players that you would be surprised that are gone that are going to not be here. Another guy that I'd like to talk about too is Deshaun Jackson. And I'm going to say this again because I don't think a lot of people listened to me last week when I said this. Deshaun Jackson came into Tampa with specific expectations of competing for the playoffs. And unfortunately, things just didn't work out the way they did. And, he was frustrated. They underutilized him this year. And there's a huge reason why he was upset. And I know people call him divas. Your wide receiver has to be a diva sometimes. There are some that just do. And he just happens to be one of those. I'm not mad at him. I understand that he's probably going to be gone. But again, it just was a letdown because he had these expectations and none of it came through. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's more if what you just said. It is what it is. I'm not mad at him. I had expectations. He had expectations. They weren't met.
Yeah,
And it is what it is.
yeah. So and so you just kind of move on from him. I know that Bruce Arians would like to keep him, according to what you see on the in the media. Again, I don't know. I think that ship has sailed. I think you kind of move on from him, and you have guys that you can bring up. I'd like to see him do a little bit more with Bobo Wilson. Let's see if he's really a guy that you keep around. Chris Godwin, working on his hands. Here's another guy that could really elevate his game with more reps, and I think that that's something that we really need to look at as well. So a lot of moving parts here. A lot of different things can happen, and again, it is what it is. So
I think with them bringing in Antoine Randall, I think with them bringing in him, that means big things for Bobo.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that it comes back to coaching. I've had questions about coaching. I've had questions about the training staff as well. I don't know. It just seemed to me like the Bucs had a lot of injuries, a lot of players that they would bring in and they would get injured. A lot of free agents they would bring in and they would get injured. So I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah. We definitely, I like with during OTAs, and I'm guessing up until the end of training camp, along with the 90-man roster, we'll be having double practices, like what Bruce Arians said during the press conference. Did you hear that?
Which part?
The part about double practices.
Yes. I think that's important. When my son was playing football, it was something that I noticed that the coach, the main coach, he had practices. Everybody was doing something. Everybody was getting reps, because that's how you know if you have a player that should be playing in another position, or or if he should be sitting on the bench. And I think that gets missed because I don't know. It just you need to have everybody out there. You got a running back that's not getting any reps. How do you know what you have? You got a wide receiver that's not getting any reps. How do you know? You just don't. You don't understand. You don't know what you have. And then by the end of the middle of the season, there's an injury, and you have to put this guy on the field. It's going to take a little while for them to get adjusted to the game. So I think this is a great idea. I love that coaching staff that he's put together. And I'm hoping for the best here.
Yeah, yes, definitely, me too. I definitely think the culture, the locker room, the fans even will change. The atmosphere is definitely it's already changed. It seems like.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say that with winning, you have a lot of people that are going to start coming back to being Bucs fans, and if that is the case, you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot more people, wanting to follow the Bucs and see what's going on. This is a team that, some people, a lot of people like them, but they just get frustrated with them because of a lot of the decisions that are made. So it'll be good to see certain people coming back and checking out the team.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run through the chat. We're already at an hour. I can't even believe it. We were just talking this long. Did I lose Ryan? Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was just on mute. I didn't know if I needed to be on mute for any reason. Or...
Oh, no. There was just a lot of background noise.
Oh, that wasn't coming from here. I'm in a bathroom.
Oh. Okay. But I wanted to get your, before we jump out of here, just kind of what we've been talking about. What do you think as far as this team? Do you see? Are there any players that you might be surprised to see leave or not end up on this team? Anybody that kind of sticks out?
The only one I think that sticks out for me is Gerald McCoy. I don't think not yet at least, I don't think we need to let him go. I think he needs especially for what he's done for this organization, sticking around as long as he did through all the crappy teams and coaches he's had to stick through. I think this is the best situation through his whole career he's ever been in. Why not give him a chance to have a successful year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Aside from that, though, Jackson can go. If we got to get rid of Smith, he can go too.
So, and so you don't think that maybe they could give him like a 1-year prove-it contract and move him to a different position? Do you see that? Do you see that as a possibility?
Truthfully, I would love that. But from what the other guy is saying, that they're saying he wouldn't do that for the money. I'm guessing he must be a money guy. Then never struck me that he was a money guy, and that's why I feel like that idea might be. But if he's a money guy and he's going to try to chase money, to be honest, if you look at all the left tackles around the league, how many left tackles is he better than? When you think about it.
Yeah, and guys, this again, I really have to really take a close look at everybody, only because of coaching, and I just want to see. I would love to see him with a good coach and playing in a position that's his strength. And I don't know. I think that this guy can. I've always thought that he could be good, but he's just never reached that point. And I don't know if it's coaching, if it's him. I'm not sure what it is. And
do you think he's taken plays off?
I've seen that. I've seen a few plays that I've questioned, both last year and this year, and I'm just not sure. But I've seen him make continuous plays like he should.
Yes.
But again, I've seen it both ways. So I don't know.
So you think possibly this coaching staff can pull that greatness out of him rather than like this other coach just kind of letting him just, I guess, go through the motions? I've seen a lot of regression from offensive linemen. I can't say that the what's the offensive line coach that just left? I cannot think of his name. You know who I'm talking? Warhop, yes, Warhop.
Yeah, Warhop. Yeah, there you go. I didn't think he was like anything spectacular. I thought he was the average coach. Yeah, there you go, Warhop. I would like to see him with a different coaching staff, and I think that's the most frustrating part of this, is because I can't say 100%. There are a lot of players I can't say 100%. Oh, we got to get rid of them, because I look at coaching. Coaching plays a huge part in that. I look at the Jeff Fisher effect. You look at Jeff Fisher and what he did, and you have another coach that comes in and he can flip things around. The talent's there, but it's just who's coaching. So I don't know, man. It's frustrating just kind of watching it. I'm going to start diving into game film from 2018 and really, kind of going back and looking at games to see consistency and certain idiosyncrasies. That's something that I try to do in the off season because I haven't even looked at draft picks really or free agents, but I kind of want to look back at who all the Bucs have and who would be a good fit and how it would work out. So you think a lot will be riding on the Jonah Williams thing then? Like, let's say we get him, you think that would kind of mean we move him inside, or is he out? You know what? I don't know what this is where it's kind of
crazy. I know.
You've got a new coach, and I don't want to be a cop out here, but you've got a new coach here. We don't know what he's going to do. And I think that's kind of where the fun is, just waiting to see what happens. We haven't even got to the Super Bowl yet. We haven't got to the championship game. So, it's really hard to know what's going to happen at this point. But yeah, it's really cool to kind of, sit back and talk about what could happen. But I just kind of want to wait and see what they do, who stays and who goes, because once that dust settles, then you have a good idea of what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Buck the World was saying, I don't think Jonah will be there at 5. I tend to agree with you, because if you look at the top 5 teams, what do you have? The 49ers, you have the Jets.
Cardinals.
Okay, the Cardinals, 49ers, Jets, Raiders, then Bucs, right? Or am I saying that wrong?
Cardinals, 49ers, Jets,
Raiders,
Bucs.
Okay, so there's your 5 right there. You've got your franchise quarterback in San Francisco and Garoppolo. So the Cardinals have a quarterback, but I could see them picking up this quarterback out of Oklahoma, Murray.
Kyle Murray, and trading away Rosen to maybe New England.
I could see that happening. Seriously, all joking aside.
I can too.
I mean, I look at what happened with Mahomes, and I look at this kid, and I could genuinely see somebody doing something like that. So that's a possibility right there that could happen. So you've got, so the Cardinals, there could potentially be either picking up this quarterback or possibly getting an offensive lineman.
You think they would go defense?
Yeah, again, and with the Raiders, they have so many picks, but the majority of these teams that we're looking at that are ahead of us, they already have their franchise quarterbacks. And I think that's where the necessity is there a player in the draft that you would jump up to give up all these draft picks or give up something huge to get in that spot to make that pick?
Well, I hear there is a couple of good linemen too, other than Jonah Williams. I'm hearing from other, sources saying there is a couple other left tackles that are actually really good coming out of the draft.
Right.
There's just not a whole bunch of them. There's only a couple. So
Right.
If you're gonna grab one, you got to grab them.
Yeah.
I would. What if we did this? What if we traded the number 5 pick to the Cardinals for Patrick Peterson, and we gave him another pick, and
you're betting the farm for one guy, right?
Well, if we got that, and then they drafted Kyler Murray with the 5th pick instead of the 1st pick, because he's probably not going in the top 10 unless that happened.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Again, it's fun to talk about this stuff. I love talking about it, but again, you can't come up with a definitive answer until we know all this other stuff that's getting ready to happen. Are you guys going to be watching the playoffs this weekend?
Oh yeah.
So are you guys rooting against the Saints? Anybody but the Saints? Is that your motto?
I'm rooting against the Saints.
I'm gonna go for them just because it's our division. I mean, how I look at it is, if our division wins the Super Bowl, you can say, now you see why we suck. We got the hardest damn division in football. I mean, it's not easy to beat. Drew Brees, one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Plus, you got Matt Ryan, who's been to a Super Bowl. He's an MVP. You got Cam Newton, who's been to the Super Bowl. He's an MVP. We've got a hard division, so.
I don't know, man. I don't have a dog in the race. I'm just enjoying the football. You've got a guy in Patrick Mahomes who's playing lights out, and he's playing at a high level. And that I think this Patriots Chiefs game is going to be exciting to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
I actually think that will be the best game, just because I think if there's anybody that can fix up a game plan to somehow rattle Mahomes, because
or it's going to be a shootout.
Yep, and I'm hoping for a shootout. And then you got the you're talking about the Rams and the you're talking about the Rams and the Saints. That's going to be an interesting game right there. I don't know.
I think that game will ride on Dominic and Sue, to be honest. I think they're going to double up Donald. They're not going to let him touch Breeze. And it's going to be all on Sue and the other guys to see if they can't create pressure with their one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, and Aqib Talib is looking a lot more healthy every game. Oh, yeah. I expect to see more out of this guy. So definitely going to be a 2 great games. Great coaches all the way around. I mean, when you look at all the coaches involved in this Final Four, these are top tier coaches. So I don't know, man.
I kind of want to squash this whole Sean McVay, these young these young coach things, because when the start of the divisional round of the playoffs, 7 of the 8 coaches were 50 and older, and we just hired a 66-year-old coach. So it is what it is.
And look at the final coaches too. Look at the final 4 coaches. I mean, they're all, other than Sean McVay, they're all older.
Yeah, 3 out of the 4 are older. Sean McVay's the only one. And look at his staff. He's got Wade Phillips, and who's his offensive.
Yes, he's the exception, not the rule. 100% agree.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Well, you know what, guys, and he was the perfect fit for the Rams, and he's what the Rams needed, and so that worked out for them. And
he
to be
grew
very
up
honest,
around football. People don't know he's a football head. He grew up around it. He's really, for football years, he's older than his age.
Yeah, there you go. So again, this is going to be a fun weekend of football. I'm looking forward to it, and like I said, I don't have a dog in the race. I'm thinking a lot about the Bucs, but I really wanted to. I'm just I'm hoping this hurries up and speeds up, and let's see how this goes. And congratulations to Mike Evans. Hope to see Mike Evans play. I hope to see him on the field and get out there. And it was really frustrating to me. I'm going to go out here and rant for a minute, because I've always said this, and I still say this: NFL players, either Hall of Famers or current players, should have more control over who gets in the Pro Bowl than the format we have right now. There are players that they get brushed off and snubbed every year. Same with the Hall of Fame. With the Hall of Fame, I think that Hall of Fame players should be more involved in getting their peers into the Hall of Fame, as opposed to NFL sports writers. And that's just been very frustrating for me to see this year after year. Simeon Rice should have been in the Hall of Fame, but he's not. And that's a travesty of justice, as far as I'm concerned. The guy was balling out when he was with the Cardinals, and he was balling out when he was with the Bucs. Nothing changed, and he's been consistent while he played, and he should have been in the Hall of Fame by now.
I feel the same about Rondé Barber as well, to be honest.
Thank you.
Yep.
How many cornerbacks have had the sacks plus the interceptions that he's had in a career? Oh, that's right, 0.
Yeah.
40 plus 20.
Yep. So again, we'll probably never see it, but I just wish that Hall of Famers and even NFL players had a little bit more say in who got into the Hall of Fame, as opposed to sports writers and some of your fans as well. So I don't know. That's just pretty much why
I feel like when you have the defense that we had for that decade, I feel like every cornerstone should go to the Hall of Fame, just like the Steel Curtain from the Steelers and the 85 Bears and all those great defenses. You see all their cornerstone pieces are in the Hall of Fame. Why isn't Tampa's?
Well, that's a good question. Again, it just kind of goes back to who's who. Well, guys, it's been a whole hour. It's been over an hour, but I want to get your final thoughts. Thank you guys both for coming on, and thank you for being listeners. I appreciate it. And this is something that, like I said, we're going to start doing, is getting listeners on to get your voices heard, because I think that's important. So tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, and give us your final thoughts before we roll out.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, yeah. Well, obviously I'm Ryan Nix. I'm on Twitter mainly is where I talk about all my Bucs stuff. I'm always watching these podcasts. And I'm honestly I'm just excited about this new Bruce Arians era. I think things are really, really about to change in Tampa. And one final thing, all you fake fans that were talking about you were going to quit being fans before Bruce Arians got there, don't come jumping back on the boat. Please don't. That's not cool.
Yeah.
All right. That was good. All right,
Tommy.
I'm Tommy Travis. You can find me on Twitter at All Hands Galley. I don't know how to follow that up very good, but yeah, I don't know how to follow that up.
Yeah, and this is Gene from Buc What You Heard, and again, I love doing this. This is a lot of fun to me. It's a hobby. I'm not trying to make no money off of it. I know a lot of people. That's everybody's got their own way of or what they're doing. I do this for fun. I like to make sure that the listeners, whoever's listening, you get your voice heard as much as possible. And again, there's no wrong way to be a fan. Despite what people may say, people may not agree with you. There's no wrong way to be a fan. I know I have friends that are Saints fans. I have friends that are Carolina fans. I have friends that are Atlanta fans. And the one thing that I can say, we can all come together and talk about football. Bucs fans, you have Bucs fans that root for the team a certain way and other fans that root for a team a different way. But ultimately, we all want the Bucs to get to the Super Bowl. I'm talking baby steps right now. I will be disappointed if the Bucs don't go to the playoffs, and that's just where my mind is, and I think that's kind of where we should be. It's all about wins and losses, and we're overdue. The Bucs are long overdue for a playoff visit. So let's hope that this happens. And despite your differences with somebody else that is a Bucs fan, let's all remember we're all Bucs fans at the end of the day. So be sure to check this out. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on iTunes a little bit later on. Shout out to What the Buc and their golf tournament that's coming up. If you're not following What the Buc or you don't know who that is, go ahead and look for them out on Twitter. If you get a chance to donate, they are very charity oriented. I will have a Buc What You Heard golf hole at this golf tournament coming up in April, just because I believe in what they're doing. So if you get a chance to follow him, they are getting ready and getting wound up for this golf tournament. So it's for children's cancer children's cancer. So if you get a chance to follow him, there's a link out there to be able to give. And I think it's a great thing. So, guys, thank you so much. Thank you, all the people in the chat. And again, I've got one person already for next week, but we'll look for another couple of people to see if I can get them on next week. If you're following me on Twitter, hit me up on the DM and I will get you added. But we're going to go ahead and roll out of here. And that's pretty much it for us. And thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
They come to catch another shit. Cannons like the notice, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming up Buc What You Heard. So Buc What You Heard. So Buc What You Heard. So Buc What You Heard.